The Mummy is quite simply an absolute achievement, and it does surprise me that this didn't win any Oscars. It was nominated for one, it didn't win any, but I think it's incredible. This is, of course, the 1999 film directed by Stephen Sommers, written by Kevin Jarre, Lloyd Fonville, and Sommers, and with a fantastic cast, including Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, and Arnold Vosloo, who brilliantly plays Imhotep. Absolutely fantastic character who I'll talk about in more detail in a bit. I first saw this probably in about 2000, 2001. Surprised to learn it's a PG-13. I'm not sure if it's 12 or 15 in the UK, but certainly I was too young to watch it at the time. If I remember rightly, I think my stepfather might have rented the video from the video store, and I decided to watch it because I loved ancient Egypt. It was always one of my favourite things to study as a child, and I was terrified of it. The scarab beetle scenes scarred me for the best part of 20 something years. Finally, I decided it was time to rewatch it, and yes, it was still creepy, but now as an adult, I have a newfound appreciation for how utterly stunning this is. Everything about it is gorgeous. So the narrative is about an archaeological dig that's taking place in Hamunaptra. If I pronounced that correctly, I almost definitely haven't. The vocabulary in this is incredible. There are a lot of words that I cannot pronounce or spell, in fact. But it's an absolute delight. And we have these various characters who decide to go to find this city of the dead. And when they're there, they uncover the mummy. And with it, this horrendous curse that's absolutely fabulous. And it takes a little bit of time to get to the mummy and to bring that character in, but it works because we have some brilliant characters, namely Rick, played by Brendan Fraser, and the fabulous Evelyn, who I absolutely loved, played, of course, by Rachel Weisz, and Jonathan, Evelyn's brother, played by John Hannah. And I think they're absolutely fabulous. I really love those characters. There are some incredible scenes with Rick, and the fact that things were touch and go with that character for a little while. I won't say any more than that, but certainly that character's journey in the beginning was rather delightful. Maybe delightful is not the right word, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. And then once they get there and we see this gorgeous architecture and the sand and the way it moves, and then a scarab beetle comes along, and then of course we get the mummy, and visually it is utterly stunning. Yes, the narrative is interesting. This mummy coming to life and causing all kinds of problems is fascinating. I was curious to see if they would be able to overcome these problems and how they would do it. But for me, interestingly, I'm usually narrative driven. Cinematography is usually second in terms of what draws me to a film. But with this one, it is just visually so compelling. The architecture is gorgeous, the scenery is beautiful, the mummy is amazing. The mummy got less interesting as the character progressed. I don't want to say what I mean by that. I don't want to spoil it. But certainly, as the character began to gain more life and more strength, I think he looked less scary and less interesting. Not dull, he looked amazing still, but I think over time he kind of lost appeal. But nevertheless, it's absolutely stunning. We have some gorgeous, vast landscapes, and the use of sand is incredible. The sound is amazing. It's also funny. That's not something I remembered from when I watched this as a child. I just remember being horrified by the scarab beetles, but it is actually funny. There is a lot of comedy in the dialogue, a lot of comedy in the script, and I wasn't expecting that. And it's a lot of fun. I remembered it being horror. It's not actually a horror, it is an action adventure film. Also a bit of fantasy. Well, maybe arguably all fantasy depending on what you believe in, but I really loved this film. I didn't expect to sit down and adore every second of it, but I absolutely did. It's not horrifically long. It is about 2 hours, maybe just under 2 hours, but it feels longer because they pack in so much, but it goes by so quickly, and I absolutely adored it. If by chance you're in the same position I was and you watched this when you were younger, and were scared by it, I'd say give it another watch. I think you'll have a different perspective now, and it is absolutely delightful. The Mummy is obviously one of the best loved films of all time, and certainly one of the most iconic films of all time, and I can completely understand why. I will watch the sequel at some point, but I kind of want to ride on the waves of this Mummy high that I'm in just now for a little bit longer. But either way, I thought it was absolutely fabulous.